Welcome back, everybody, to the Nosebleed Sports Podcast. I'm Chris Witt, and with me, as always, is Mr. Adam Schmidt. Adam, how are you today, sir?
Fantastic. How are you?
Buddy, I'm doing amazing. The Bengals are going to the Super Bowl. I repeat, the Bengals are heading to the Super Bowl.
I I am in disbelief. I am in shock. Even even seeing the way they've won games and hung in there and figured out a way to win the three games they've played in the playoffs so far, I still did not expect them to win the AFC Championship game. And I'm
Obviously
still
not. You picked them to win 3 games for the whole year.
they won three in the playoffs.
They have won. They have a chance. They have a chance of beating your guess for their season just in the playoffs if they would have won the Super Bowl.
I'll tell you, it's we're going to talk a lot. We'll have our Bengals insider Andre Edwards on next week to talk all about the Super Bowl. But I'm telling you, every week it looks like, man, there's no way they're going to win this game, right? I mean, they're so outmatched. Now, although last week, knowing they beat the Chiefs in Week 17, but you felt like the Chiefs are a stronger team than that, and they would perform better in the playoffs. And they've had a couple of games since that game against the Bengals that they look like the old Chiefs. But I'll tell you, the Bengals hung in there, got down by a ton, and fought their way back. And the defense was incredible in the second half. And Joe Burrow made escaped sacks like Patrick Mahomes normally does. He had a couple of times where he was as good as sacked, and he was almost wrapped up, and he got by. I'm trying to remember the defensive lineman that kind of had him up top. He ducked underneath, and then the guy was right on his heels, and it looked like he was just going to dive and grab his legs, like a play we've seen a million times. And Burrow like kind of high stepped right at the exact right time and got away, threw a pass down the field, or maybe he ran for a first down or whatever. He had a couple of great decisions, scrambling, running the ball, picking up, even if it wasn't a first down, enough yards to put him in a good position for a second or third down. I mean, he really is winning us games almost not single-handedly, because the defense has
I
been
don't know,
good.
man. The defense has been phenomenal. Not to mention the fact that we've got a magic leg. We've got the second coming of Justin Tucker and a kicker, and an amazing kicker is such a weapon on a team, on a football team, and it's unbelievable. So were you like me screaming at the TV the whole time? I'm jumping up and down. I'm high fiving everybody. I'm like standing in the exact same spot because every time I moved from that spot, something bad would happen. I was in the very back of my kitchen. Like everyone else is up by the TV. I was in the back, like as far away as you can get from the screen, because that's where I was when they scored their first touchdown in the second half. So I would refuse to move. I refused to move from that spot for the rest of the game.
Yeah, to answer your question, no, I don't watch games like that. I sat alone quietly on my couch, watched the game, couldn't believe the comeback, but I enjoyed it. I loved watching it. I like to watch games in peace and quiet anyway. And even when I go to games, in games I'm passionate about, Reds games, Elder games, um, I mostly sit there and I'll clap or something, or get excited if they have, there's a game winning home run or game winning hit or something like that. But yeah, no, I just enjoyed it in the comfort of my home quietly.
I almost knocked somebody over. I ran and jumped into another grown man's arms, and he's smaller than me. Buddy, old daddy here and then has not been scared of a French fry or two here lately. So uh, you know, I'm a biscuit or two away from 250, so it ain't far. But I about knocked it was almost like bowling pins falling over when I ran into that room and started jumping on people. I've never been so happy in my life. Paul Witt's got a Super Bowl party coming up, man. We are gonna be partying down for that old boy.
Yeah.
But like you said, we'll talk more about this later. when we have our Bengals Insider next week. We'll preview the Super Bowl. We'll also talk a little bit probably about the Brian Flores deal, because Brian Flores is now suing the NFL for I don't know what it I don't know exactly how it's being put out there, but mostly because we're going to talk more about this next week too. But can we just say that if Bill Belichick doesn't get involved in this,
it was what, 60, 68, 69, 70 years old, something like that.
My man is the whole reason that this suit is going down right now, because he sent a text message to Mr. Brian Flores, and let's just and he's a former coach of us, right? So he sends. Can I read these out to you? Can I read these? These are part of the deal that were leaked.
Yeah. So this was the Giants job that Brian Flores applied for, interviewed for, or was going to interview for.
Brian Dabble ends up getting the job.
Right.
So Flores has an interview on Thursday. They announced the job that Dabble has the job on Sunday. All right. So all that is all, let's just talk about that. So that's announced later, right? So he actually still went to an interview. Good for him. He went to the interview still, because you never know. Bill Belichick to Brian Flores. Sounds like you have landed. Congrats. Flores says, Did you hear something I didn't hear? Belichick, Giants? ? Flores, interview on Thursday. I think I have a shot at it. Belichick, got it. I hear from Buffalo and the Giants that you are their guy. Hope it works out if you want it. And Flores says, that's definitely what I want. I hope you're right, coach. Thank you. And then he says, Coach, are you talking to Brian Flores or Brian Dabble? Just making sure. That's probably my favorite part. Right now, Bill Belichick's looking at his phone going, God daggone it. I wish I put people's last names in my phone when I did.
He's got them under Brian. He's got 11 Brians in his phone. He's just got
12 Brians in his phone. He does. He's in his flip phone.
Or Brian A, Brian B, Brian C, Brian D.
Yeah. Sorry, I effed this up. I double checked and I misread the text. I think they are naming Dabble. I'm sorry about that. And then he signs that. Like, that he's done talking now, because he puts BB at the end of that text. Doesn't do that on any other text. Just BB, like, basically, I'm signing this. I'm done. I'm not talking back to you ever again. And poor Brian just says, thanks, Bill. And it's over. Oh, Bill Belichick, you old, stupid son of a gun. I love that so much. He's such an old man.
Classic old man mistake, sending the text to the wrong person. That is very funny, but very unfortunate for Brian Flores.
Unfortunate for the NFL, because we all know that the Rooney Rule can be somewhat of a sham, and it's been talked about that way for a very long time. And we'll get into this, like you said, more next week. But it's bringing light to a way and showing a little bit of evidence to the fact now, right? It's hard to prove. Now it's a little bit easier to prove that way.
And he's got multiple different things that he is addressing in this lawsuit.
Yes.
And it's a class action lawsuit. And now he's going to get more. He's already got Hugh Jackson talking about a similar situation that he experienced in Cleveland. And that may be one of several other people that are going to join this thing. And there might be more and more evidence and more stories that we're going to find out about stuff going on in the NFL and the hiring process. And when guys are head coaches, this whole thing with offering guys, which is what Hugh Jackson was talking about, also experiencing there in Miami. Brian Flores was talking about, having the owner, Stephen Ross, I think it is, offer him money to throw game, or not throw games, but lose games.
$100,000 per loss. $100,000 per loss.
I'll tell you what.
If you look back at that season, you can tell he really does not do that. I mean, he came out and beat the Patriots when the Patriots needed to win. They won 5 games or something, I think, that year. And
It
that
was
was the year the
his
Bengals
first
won.
year, I think, right?
Yeah, and that was the year the Bengals won 2 or 3 or whatever they were. I think they were two wins, and ended up getting Joe Burrow. So, obviously the owner knew what he wanted, but wasn't quite what Mr. Flores had in mind. And you can't do that, man. We've talked about this before, throwing games, and there's no way, if you are a professional player, that you're doing anything to lose a game, right? It'll never happen, because that is your livelihood. You have to have good game film. When you're on teams that win, you stay in the league longer. It's just it's just how it works. And so the players would never do it. But now you're talking about ownership. We always talk about ownership not putting the best team on the field on purpose. Now you got ownership talking to the guys who make the decisions. That's where that is technically. I was listening today to a lawyer saying that is a federal crime. That becomes a wiring money to somebody for an illegal thing, right? So for illegal uses, that becomes a federal offense. And now you're talking about an 80-year-old man going to federal prison now. I mean, this could have some really big implications on the NFL and how the NFL works in the future.
And you're right. We'll talk more with Andre about this next week, and probably best to do that anyway, because there's going to be a lot more about this that comes out over the next week. So we'll have a lot more stuff to talk about with him.
It's gonna be a packed show. I might have to start early, because I got about 2.5 hours worth of questions from my man Andre Edwards going into this Super Bowl.
We'll all take the day off of work.
Not to mention that the greatest halftime show is about to go down in this Super Bowl. Oh my God, how exciting is that? Oh, dude, my gosh.
I never care about the halftime show. I don't even care to watch it usually, but it's usually so overdone. Even when there's somebody on there, I'm like, oh, okay, I kind of like them or whatever. It's so over the top, and I don't need that. I need a good artist to come out and play their songs that I know and like, and that be the end of it. Play 2 songs and get the heck off and get the players back on the field. I don't need all the pageantry. I don't need all that garbage. But
that's so funny, because that's the part I love about it.
Yeah,
the Weeknd sucks. Can we all just say the Weeknd was the worst halftime show ever?
I don't even remember it. I don't even know that I paid.
They all had masks on, running around. He looked like
when you have Lady Gaga propelling from the sky and wearing meat suits or whatever the heck,
Hey, Lady Gaga was Lady Gaga was good. That was a good show.
It's just,
I'm not saying she's great, but I'm not saying she's great. I'm saying the show was good.
Well, I mean, I liked the part of the Janet Jackson show, and then I liked and then I liked the
Shakira,
who was it?
Shakira J-Lo? Shakira and J-Lo?
No, I forgot. I don't even remember who. I remember obviously the Janet Jackson one, but then a few years ago, what's his name? Small guy, but he's really good.
Bruno Mars. Bruno Mars.
That one was good.
Yeah,
that one was good.
Bruno Mars was good.
But besides that, I usually do not care about the halftime show. But Snoop and Dre, our guys, we grew up with those guys. Was good. What's that?
Beyonce was good.
Oh yeah, even her. I mean, she's fine, but I don't care that much about it. But yes, this one is. I was big into these guys growing up, and it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be. It's gonna be. I think like we see with a lot of these other halftime shows, where when you get people that are getting a little older, sometimes it really shows, and it ends up being a bad show, because when you have the Rolling Stones or you have Aerosmith or somebody like that, you're like, these guys are in their 70s. These guys are in their late. These guys are basically dead, and they're supposed to come out and have all this energy and do their songs like they, like you hear them on the radio. It doesn't happen that way. It usually ends up a little worse than you think. But so it could be like that. But
this is different though, because you're not talking about that kind of music, right? Where it's not some crazy rock and roll where you got a Mick Jagger running around stage, or Madonna, 90 years old trying to come back on stage or something like that, right? This is or Tom Petty doing the halftime show when he looks like a skeleton like Mick Jagger. Same way. No, this is a couple boys that's just laid back. Do your thing, kid. You know what I'm saying?
Well, Snoop
Hey,
looks like a skeleton too, but yeah, I get you.
why is Snoop Dogg? Why is Snoop Dogg using an umbrella?
Oh God, I don't know why.
Faux drizzle.
Oh God,
It's my all-time favorite dad joke. All-time
jeez.
favorite dad joke.
Oh, I hope the halftime show is way better than that joke. All right, so I'm excited about I'm excited about that part of it. Certainly excited that the Bengals. I still can't believe that the Bengals are playing in the Super Bowl. They won 2 games last year. It's
Four. They won four last year.
or
They won
4
four
last
last
year.
year.
Was it 2 the year before? I think 2,
Yes.
something like that.
Yes. That was when they got Joe Burrow after that. Yes.
So they won 6 in the last 2 years, and then so I was like, hey, it only makes sense for them to win 3 this year, right? Average
Yeah.
2 and 4, it's 3. So perfect logic.
Joe Burrow.
Perfect logic for my guesses
Of
this
course
year.
it is.
But,
of course it is.
but completely wrong. So, but yeah, Bengals were in the
It's still
Super
not
Bowl.
real, man. It just doesn't feel real. It still doesn't feel real to say it. I looked at my son on Monday morning and I said, dude, the Bengals are going to the Super Bowl. And he said, yeah, I know. And I said, do you know how old I was last time the Bengals were in the Super Bowl? And he said, yeah, 5. Apparently, I've been talking about this a lot here lately. But that's the point is, man, you don't even know what this is, dude. This is so crazy. So crazy for me. I still can't play it through in my head. It doesn't feel real still.
Let me ask you this. Are you just as excited about this, about the Bengals going to the Super Bowl, as you would be about the Reds in the World Series?
Right now, I think I am. I think I am because of how long it's been and what we've been through over this time frame since I was a kid and how bad I think it is. Now, I say that now. I'd have to say yeah, just because my the feeling and the range of emotions go all over the place. It's crazy. And I feel like I'd be the same way if the Reds, I'm not saying more, not definitely not more. I would probably be a little more pumped up if the Reds won the World Series, but not enough to where I could really tell you right now it would be that much different. It would be pretty much the same. I am in that kind of shock. I'm in that kind of happiness in my world that they're there.
Okay, then how about if Barry Larkin is the manager, Eric Davis is his first base coach, and Billy Hatcher is his third base coach? Then how does it compare?
Oh, that's a whole different story, man. I mean, I feel like at that point in time, you're just bringing back too many. Who's the pitching coach? Is Randy
Jose
Myers the
Rijo.
pitching coach?
Jose Rijo is the pitching coach.
I'm pretty sure he's not allowed back in baseball, is he?
Oh wait, that's right. Yeah, he did something crazy, right? Did he kill somebody
Didn't he
or
do
something?
some drugs or something? He was doing
I
some
forget.
crazy drugs and like steroiding people up over in Venezuela or something crazy. I don't know. He was doing some crazy stuff.
Okay, Tom Browning is the Reds pitching coach then.
I'm good with that. I'm good with that. I like it. I like it. I like it. I don't know. It would be definitely more. I know. I don't know. It's just crazy. It's all so crazy, dude. It's all so crazy.
It is.
But we're gonna get into so much of this in a week that I don't want to keep. I don't want to keep harping on it. Let's hold this in. Let's take every bit of it and keep it inside. Whenever you're done on your phone, we'll continue the podcast over there.
Pulling up the next topic here, fella.
Just kidding.
Which is our last thing, our last NFL thing, and that is the official retirement, because it took him like 4 days, the official retirement of Tom Brady. Tom Brady, who is widely considered the greatest quarterback of all time, possibly the greatest football player of all time. Hard to let me ask you that. Is it hard to say best football player of all time just because the positions are so different, or he just gets it because of his accomplishments?
No. I think if you just say football player, it's easy. It's easier to say Tom Brady. But if you're going to say the best athlete in football, no, obviously. I mean, that's not even close. But just football player, I mean, that includes way more than being an athlete. That includes, the cerebral end, which if you ask any player in any great player in any sport, how much of the game is mental, right? And that is Tom Brady's forte. Tom Brady is going to find something that you do wrong and just keep harping on it until you are in a doghouse with your tail between your legs because you just can't stop him. He's not somebody, and it's a Bill Belichick thing. And a big part of who he is because of Belichick, obviously. And he grew into something great because of it. And it just shows you what confidence can do for a person, right, over time. And football player, I would definitely say it's easier to say that.
Quick question that I should have asked during the Brian Flores thing, but you brought Bill Belichick up again. If you have Bill Belichick's number and he texts you, do you read the text in his voice? Are you hearing his voice read it in the really monotone, boring, as boring as possible tone while you're reading that?
That's what's even funnier about this thing, because when he says Giants, like that team, and it's got 1, 2, 3 question marks and 3 exclamation points, and it's like, whoa, Bill, man,
curb the enthusiasm there, Bill.
Yeah, geez, oh Pete's, dude, man. I wonder what that sounded like in his own mind for him to put that many.
It was like, Giants. That was pretty.
It's pretty enthusiastic.
Pretty loud. A little obnoxious there, Bill.
I've been a little overboard, buddy. I wish I could meet Bill Belichick, because I bet away from a camera, away from the media, I bet that dude is surprisingly pretty funny.
Yeah, I get that feeling too. But anyway, I don't mean to take away from our Tom Brady discussion here. Most passing yards ever, most passing touchdowns ever, most completions ever, most playoff passing yards, passing touchdowns and completions ever, most wins ever, most Super Bowl wins ever, most Super Bowl MVPs ever, most playoff wins ever. He holds everything.
When you win 7 Super Bowls and go to 10 in 20 years, you're going to win records it's an obvious thing in whatever position you're in. You're going to hold any record for that position just because you've been there so many times. But he also was very, very good in everything that he did as well.
Yeah. And he set the bar at a different level. You had Joe Montana and John Elway and Marino and Johnny Unitas and all the guys that you used to talk about. There used to be a debate about who was the greatest quarterback ever. Not so much a debate anymore.
No, it's pretty much Tom Brady, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
And it's just because of what you just read off. How can you compete with that? He was the greatest quarterback ever if he retired 8 years ago.
Yeah. And I read all those off. And when Brett Favre was at the end of his career, he had a couple of those records. He had the completions and the passing yards or something like that. Totally different thing, though. Tom Brady's a totally different quarterback. Brett Favre, he was great for a long time, but his longevity had more to do with it, I think. Tom Brady obviously he's played 22 years or whatever the heck it was. But he was greater for a longer period of time. He's still at the very top of his game. He's retiring at the top of his game.
7 rings. The guy has 7 rings. Do you know how many Brett Favre has?
1.
Aaron Rodgers, you know how many rings Aaron Rodgers has?
1.
Drew Bledsoe, 1.
1.
Peyton Manning, 1. Oh, I'm sorry, the better Eli Manning. Eli Manning has 2.
Eli has 2. Eli is definitely the closest.
Peyton's got 2. Peyton's got 2. Peyton's got 2. He got 1 in Denver.
He
got 1 in Indy.
Yeah. So, but Eli Manning is definitely closest to Tom Brady. Okay, no question about it. Tom Brady's the
subtle sarcasm. The subtle sarcasm might be my favorite. It took me a second. It didn't click right away.
But Eli Manning is good, just like Peyton is with his media stuff. Those guys are like, funny and like giving each other a hard time and giving other guys a hard time. I love that.
Have you watched any of the Monday Night Football with those guys?
I've only seen clips of that. A couple of times I turned it on to see that, and it was like at a commercial or something like that. It was just in a bad spot, and so I didn't really sit and watch for a while. But I've seen clips. When they give each other a hard time, that's my favorite thing.
So this new era of podcasting, right? Where look at us, right? We've been doing this for what, 3-4 years now,
Yeah.
and everybody's got a podcast, right? There's a billion podcasts out there.
Yeah. Everybody's copying off us now. Yeah.
Yes, they are. That's the point I was making. But ESPN is I mean, all of that is, when those two are there, is just two guys doing a podcast together while they're watching a game.
Yeah.
Because there's no rhyme or reason to any of it. I mean, they do have guests on, and they have some really good guests on, which is fun. Snoop gave Eli for his birthday his Death Row chain. His Death Row Records chain. Yeah, he's got this big old giant Death Row Records chain. Holy cow. I don't know what I just did, but I did something. Yeah, this big giant Death Row Records chain, gave it to him. And oh my gosh, Peyton was laughing because he was just on Zoom, so he couldn't give it to him. But he said, "Next time I see you, this is yours, man. Happy birthday." And Peyton's like, Super Bowl, you're wearing that. I need to see it at the Super Bowl. And he's like, Snoop, you can definitely tell my brother is a big gold diamond chain wearing kind of guy, right?
That's exactly what I was thinking, is he should wear that to like whatever the next formal event, like the Hall of Fame induction or something like that,
Yeah.
or like an executive dinner or something like that. He should wear it to that.
That's good.
Okay.
My gosh.
We got to close the door on football because we got plenty of other stuff.
Let's
going
close
on
it out. We got other stuff to talk about.
So, Chris, the day that we are recording, at least, the reserves for the NBA All-Star game have been announced. Starters were announced last week. So we know everybody who's going to be playing in the All-Star game now. I wanted to go through a few of them with you real quick. Just look at like the first time guys, look at the starters and the reserves, and see if you had any thoughts on those guys. And that is, so actually, as a matter of fact, before we even get to the game, of course, you have the festivities of the 2 nights before. The dunk contest, we know who's going to be in that. Cole Anthony from the Orlando Magic.
Yes.
Jalen Green from the Houston Rockets, Juan Toscano-Anderson from Golden State, and Obi Toppin from the University of Dayton and the New York Knicks. Those are the four guys.
This would be Obi's second one, right? Toppin did it last
year. Yeah. Are you excited about any of those guys? Do you care about the slam dunk contest?
No. I love the slam dunk contest, and I tell you what, we obviously are past the point of ever trying to get a LeBron or a guys like that, right? Even guys like Zach LaVine are no longer going to be doing any of this stuff, right? Aaron Gordon, those two gave us the best show we've had. I mean, one of the top 5 dunk contests ever, maybe top 3.
Yeah.
And when you think about stuff like that, I'm getting to be a little better with the young guys that I don't know very well, and just enjoying watching some younger fellas fly through the sky, because if they're in it, there's a reason they're in it, and they're doing some crazy stuff, right? So, and this makes a name for some of those guys. I mean, Aaron Gordon I'm not going to say this is probably wrong to say, but may not be in the NBA right now if he wasn't as well known for stuff that he did like that, right? I mean, he's a good basketball player, but there's a ton of really good basketball players that get lost at the end of benches and never make their way onto the floor again. Aaron Gordon has been in the league now for what feels like 10 years, right? Yeah. Zach LaVine for a very long time in the NBA was nothing more than a 10-minute a game role player. He is now part of DeBalzac in the first place team in the East, and one of the biggest parts of it. So I enjoy the dunk competition a lot. Obi Toppin I wasn't impressed with last year, so he better come up with something. He's more of a strong dunker. I don't see him like a flashy dunker. And I think flashy is what wins it these days. I don't think you just go up there and do a 360 and just throw it down so hard that everybody goes crazy. I think it's a finesse game now, and you got to have some flash to it. So, yeah. But let's be honest, the best is the 3-point contest.
Absolutely. And they have not announced anybody who's in that yet. I believe that's on the 8th, February 8th. I think they're announcing those guys. And then on the 10th, a week from today, next Thursday, that will be the draft for the All-Star. So we know who was all in it. You got Team LeBron and Team Kevin Durant. And then those two guys will pick their teams from the pool of players. So
let's do it. Go ahead.
The starters, the Eastern Conference starters, and these guys will be dispersed throughout those teams as they get picked. But Giannis Antetokounmpo, Kevin Durant, DeMar DeRozan, Joel Embiid, and Trae Young made are the East starters.
Okay.
Let's see. So let's go to West starters, and that is LeBron, of course, Steph Curry,
Yep.
Nikola Jokic, Ja Morant, and the biggest surprise, Andrew Wiggins is a starter.
John Morant's not a surprise. That kid's having an unbelievable first half. But Andrew Wiggins, huh?
Andrew Wiggins will be a starter.
They got two guys off that team.
Yeah.
Is Wiggins is with Golden State still, right? I'm not.
Yes.
My mind here.
And they have three actually, because Draymond Green also is a reserve. So
if somebody told you that the Golden State Warriors would have two starters in the West, and would you ever? How many people down would you have? How many people would you have to pick before you got to Andrew Wiggins?
Yeah, I mean, 4, I would think, in most cases. But Clay just came back a couple weeks ago, so he obviously isn't going to be on the team. But Draymond's hurt right now, so he's not going to be playing in the All-Star game. So there will be another guy that replaces him, and there may be somebody else who is hurt, or either hurt enough now where they're playing, but they need that weekend to recover, or gets hurt before then. Anyway, so going down the list, besides Draymond Green, West reserves Devin Booker, Luka Doncic, Rudy Gobert, Donovan Mitchell, Chris Paul, and Karl Anthony Towns.
Okay.
East reserves. So let's talk about first time. Andrew Wiggins, I think, is the only first time. No, Andrew Wiggins and John Morant. John Morant. John.
Why not? Maybe John.
Andrew Wiggins and John Morant are first timers for the West, and in the East. Get back to that. Let's see. Darius Garland of the Cleveland Cavaliers is having a fantastic year, and it'll be his first All-Star appearance. Other reserves for the East are Jimmy Butler, James Harden, Zach LaVine, who's having a great year, Chris Middleton, Jason Tatum, and also first-time All-Star, and I love this, Fred VanVleet. I love that
guy. I love that guy too, but I didn't hear a guy who I really, really, really like. I can't stand his. I shouldn't say I can't stand. His dad cracks me up. But what about LaMelo Ball?
Yeah,
I know that there's the rookie and sophomore game and all that stuff, but dude, LaMelo Ball is having an unbelievable year. He's got to be averaging 20 and almost 10 assists a game. Mm-hmm. In fact, while we talk about this, I'm going to look him up. I bet he's averaging something close to that. Let's see here.
And they've talked about him. They talked about Mikal Bridges on that team, and somebody else.
Tyler Hero too. That just popped up. Only reason I said that is because it just popped up here. Tyler Hero is averaging 20 points a game. Mm-hmm. That's insane. And here you go, right here. LaMelo Ball, 19.9 points a game, 7.7 assists. He's averaging 20 and 8. As a point guard with 1.5 steals. I mean, this dude should be.
Here's the thing. There are enough guys in this league that average somewhere around that you can't put them all on there. But for the All-Star game though, LaMelo Ball would be the most exciting guy. All those players I just named, LaMelo Ball might be the most exciting player of all of those guys, and would be perfect. His game is perfect for that. He can throw any kind of pass. I just want to watch him pass the basketball in an All-Star game. He would be so much fun to watch in an All-Star game. So for that reason alone, I would love to see him. Yes, he's playing very well. He did miss some time, I think, for an injury, but not enough, I don't think, because there are other guys that have missed some time too. But he's missing. The biggest guy that's missing to me is DeJounte Murray from San Antonio. He's almost averaging a triple-double. He's averaging like like 25-8-8 or something like that. Or 25-9-8
That's
or
insane.
something
Yeah, see
like
a
that.
guy like that.
And
And I'm looking at Fred Van Vliet. I mean, he's 21-7. So I mean, he's basically got the same numbers as LaMelo. So I
I
mean,
think of him
it just makes
as
sense to me.
yeah, I think of him as Toronto's best player now. I mean, Pascal Siakam's
Mm,
still really good. They've got a bunch of great good guys on their team still. Fred Van
you're
Vliet,
definitely right.
ever since the finals a couple years ago when they were in it and they won it with Kawhi Leonard, he
Yep.
like came out as this really good player that not a lot of people knew about. And then he's maintained that. After Kawhi left, Fred Van Vliet kept that level of play up, and he's really good. He's very deserving. I'm really glad to see him in this in his first All-Star game. And I'll tell you what, for me, DeJounte Murray, I talked about him, and I feel like you have to, if you want a guy in there, you got to be able to take one off. And I hate to, everybody that's on it deserves to be there. Otherwise, they wouldn't be.
Yeah.
But I've got to say, I'll tell you what, I'm going to make it easy on myself and cop out here. Since Draymond Green's not going to be able to play, there's going to be a replacement for him. I sure hope it's DeJounte Murray. I really do. That way I don't have to kick anybody out.
So, or there's a lot of good ones, man. I mean, there's a lot of guys that are having really good years. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, even though Anthony Davis has missed a ton of time, I mean, he's averaging 24 and 10. I mean, he's still an all-star. Now, don't get me wrong. We all know that a big part of the problem right now for the Lakers is that he's not stepping up and doing what we all think he should be doing on a regular basis. But I don't know, man.
He's only
I like
played
it. I'm
3
fine.
weeks or whatever, but yeah.
I was going to say exactly. That's the other thing too. I like it. I'm good with it. The one I think I would just like to see LaMelo Ball, and he'll be in that rookie sophomore game or whatever they do the night before too. So,
and they're doing that differently now. They're doing that differently.
That's the America versus the world or something like that, isn't it? Now
it's different again this year. So they're doing.
Okay, what are they doing?
12 rookies, 12 sophomores, and 12 rookies, 12 sophomores, and 4 guys from the G League. And they're gonna pick team. They're gonna split all those guys up. So I don't think it's gonna be rookies versus sophomores. It's gonna be those guys all split up into 3 teams and like a tournament. So they're gonna play. 4 teams. 4 teams. It's going to be 4 teams. They're going to play, like 2 teams are going to play each other, and then the winners of those, I believe, are going to play each other after that. I think all on that night.
7 guys on a team. That comes out to 28 guys, right? 12, and 4.
Yeah.
That's 28. So
yes.
Put that into 4 teams. It's 7 guys on a team.
7 guys on a
team. So that means you're going to see a lot of guys playing. I'm sure they'll probably be 2 5-minute halves or something like that. Play 10 minutes.
They're doing so the first 2 games are first to 50 points, and then the championship game is first to 25. So they're making it they're calling it like the run to 75 or something like that because it's the 75th anniversary.
Wait a minute. If you're that would make me very upset. If right? I'm in this okay. I know that this
probably
is
25 makes or something like that. I don't imagine they're going to count by 2s and 3s to 25.
So that's my point is if you're going to say 50 for the first games, the second game cannot be less than that. That's the most important game. It should be more. You should be playing to a higher number. I think that's ridiculous. If I just played my butt off to 50, now we're only playing to 25. Like, hold on a second here. Let me, I know that I'm in a little bit more of a rhythm now and I'm warm, but what if I'm the team that didn't have to play that second game?
Some guys like to play 2 in a row instead of sitting 1. I'm that way.
Most 90% of people would rather play 2 in a row. That's what I'm saying. What if I'm the team that had to sit a game? I'm not in a rhythm anymore. I'm cold now watching those guys play. Those guys are in a rhythm. They're in an advantage. Let me get back into a rhythm. Let's play back to 50 again.
But I think, especially because I think they're playing it all in one night, I think they want to be careful about that too. And also you played at 25
and play the first 2 games at 25 and then play the second game at 50.
I feel like it's better this way because the 25, that means every possession is that much more important. I mean, you get down, 8 to 1 or something like that. You're like, all right, we're playing to 50. We got some time. You get down 8 to 1 and you're going to 25. Now it's serious. I don't know.
I like to know what everybody thinks because I think Adam is crazy right now. So you need to get in the comments. Let us know what you think. Let me know. Tell me that the championship game, you got a team sitting out. They need to get back in. You got to let the teams be back to getting to equal here. I think you got to let that. I think it either needs to be first two games are 25, third game's 50, or 50, 50, 50. Yeah.
Well, they're trying to make it specifically a total of 75 before the 75th anniversary thing.
There's 3 games and they should all be 25. That's 75.
All right, I'm good with that. Well,
I'm fine with that too. Make them all the same. There's 3 games.
You're only playing 2 games. I mean, there are 3 total games, but you are only playing 2. You have to score 75 points to win the championship.
Oh, so it's a run to 75.
Yeah.
All right, then the first 2 games should be 25, and the second game should be 50. Third game should be 50. That's how it should be. It's just how it should be, Adam. It's just how it should be.
All right. I kind of like it this way. I don't even know if I'm going to watch it, to be honest with you, but
do you know I've probably watched a total of 15 minutes of that, whether it's the North America versus the rest of the world where they let Canada play with them, or it's US versus whatever, or freshmen versus sophomores, or whatever they've done over the years. I bet I've watched a total of maybe a total of 20 minutes over the past 10 years of that game.
I was kind of excited about it when it first happened, but after a while, because it's the All-Star game, they play it that way too, where nobody's playing defense. It's basically a dunk contest, but with the guys that you're not as familiar with, guys that some guys that probably will never be in an actual All-Star game. But so it's not even as fun. But still, I'm excited about to find out who's in the 3-point contest. That's the one that's totally different than the dunk contest, because that's the one that you a lot of times get the best shooters in the league.
That's why I love the 3-point contest.
Steph and Clay are usually in it, and a couple other guys who can really shoot the ball. So yeah, I'm pumped about that. I hope those guys are still. I don't know that Klay Thompson's going to do anything just because he just came back, but
it'd be interesting to see if Steph does it. He skipped a couple. He hasn't done every single one. He skipped a few, and then he came back a couple years ago and actually did it. And has he won? I think he's only won 1 and been in like 4. So
yeah, you might be right. Yeah,
I know Clay won 1, Steph's won 1, but then Zach LaVine came in second or won 1 once a couple years ago that he did, and it's like, all right, come on, you're a dunker. Come on now, let's go.
He's turned into a good shooter. He really has.
Well, of course, sure, I understand that, but come on, man, that's what
Devin Booker.
The shooters shoot.
Devin Booker's another one that's been in a couple times. Yeah.
Yes, Devin Booker. I would love to see because what did they only do 6, right?
Yeah, I think so.
They don't do 8. 8's too many. You can't ever take.
Yeah, I when you said 6, I thought
they do
8,
that?
but yeah, 8 feels like too many. I think they just eliminate 2. I think they just eliminate 2 guys because the bottom 2 in the first round or whatever drop out. I'm pretty sure.
I think you're right. But I'm going to tell you, dude, if you can get like a Steph, let's say Clay's not in it. So who are your guys? Who are the 3-point shooters that you want in 3-point contest? Obviously Steph, obviously Devin Booker.
Yeah. I would say Buddy Hield.
I was literally just going to say that he has been pulling up from some crazy places. Same as a Dame Lillard. I would love to see Lillard in it.
Yeah.
You know who else would be?
He was in it last year, I think.
Was he? Another clutch one that I would like to see, but he probably won't be allowed there because he doesn't have a vaccine or whatever, would be a guy like Kyrie Irving. I think Kyrie Irving in a 3-point competition like that, I think that would be fun because of the clutch aspect of it, right? He seems to make clutch shots. And if he missed like 4 in his first 2 racks, I feel like that switch would just flip inside of him, and all of a sudden he wouldn't miss on the next 4 racks. He would not miss.
You know who else I just thought that I would like to see there is Kevin Durant. I would like to see Kevin Durant in that competition.
He's losing an extra quarter of a second on every shot because of how long he is to reach down to the rack and get it up. And he's lazy, bud. He might be the first guy, not the first guy ever, but he might be one of those guys that doesn't get that last shot off.
Doesn't finish.
I don't mean it lazy. I don't mean lazy like he's a lazy person. I mean lazy as it's a I won't say a lazy shot, but you know how he is. He's it's not Steph grab and shoot. It's not quick. He doesn't have to be that because he's 7 foot tall. He can take his time on that three because nobody's going to block it at 12 feet in the air when he shoots it.
Yeah. I don't know. But he's such a good shooter. And look, he's going more and more to the mid-range game. But which I like, but such a good shooter. I wouldn't mind seeing him there either. Anyway, so that'll be the All-Star game. We'll find out next week who is on Team LeBron, who's on Team Durant, and I can't wait for that.
Yeah. So and then we'll go over it because the next weekend we got to go over it. No, we can go over it in 2 weeks because it's not till the 13th, right? Am I wrong about that? So it's the week after the Super Bowl.
Yeah, the 13th is the Super Bowl, I think, right?
Oh, so it's the weekend after Super Bowl.
Yeah.
20, whatever that would be, 20th maybe.
20th.
Or 19th or something.
Yeah.
So speaking of basketball here for a second, we talked a little bit last week towards the end of the show about watching film in high school, and I gave you a little bit of crap for not having your games being taped, and you're about to be playing a team that I believe beat you by 5 or you beat by 5 a few weeks before that. I can't remember exactly how it went. What happened last week? Did you come out and get the dub against that team that you played for the second time?
I think that was Harrison. They beat us by 1 the first time at their place. We were down like 10 or something like that. Came back in the fourth quarter, went ahead by 1 with less than a minute to go. Our most prolific fouler fouled a girl when we were up 1 with like 3 seconds to go or something like that. She made both free throws and we lost by 1.
Oh man!
Yeah.
Fouled her out. You know what I say? You know what I say?
Court.
As a fan, you know what I say? You know what I'm saying right now?
Swallow the whistle, right?
No, not even a little bit. What I'm saying in the stands is, why is she in the game, Coach? Why is she in the game?
Because she's she's our most prolific fouler and also probably our best defender as well.
That makes sense. She's the most
weird.
No, not in freshman girls basketball. That means she's your most aggressive, and that makes total 100% sense because it's just like my 9-year-old boys. Your best defender is also my 2 best defenders are also the ones that foul the most, and it is what it is, right? It's the aggression. That's what it is. Like that, without being able to understand how to move your feet and when not to reach through somebody to try to get the ball and wait for the ball to come to you.
So we did win. We beat them by like 15 or something like that. So the last week we did won. That was last week at this time. We won Saturday and we won yesterday. We're on a 3-game win streak here, buddy. 3-game win streak.
You've got 1 game left, 2 games left? How many you got left?
1 game left.
One
game left. We had a couple of practices left, but today's got canceled because where we are, we've got some weather and
it's
who
a
knows?
Sheet of ice outside.
We might get tomorrow's. The last practice of the year. We might get canceled tomorrow too.
There's a really good chance that you're going to cancel practice. Well, what time is practice supposed to be?
Actually, I think we were going at like 5 tomorrow or something like that.
You might still practice. It just depends on how this goes, man. I'll tell you what. They told us that we were supposed to have, it was supposed to be ice all day and then snow at like 4 p.m. Brother, when I came down here tonight, we were still getting sleet. I've got nothing but ice outside. Cincinnati, Ohio is a sheet of ice.
Yeah, it is. I'm so happy I got to work from home today. I'm working from home tomorrow. I'm not going anywhere. Didn't leave my house today. And then so I have a question for you. I asked my brother this. I want to hear your opinion on this. Is it in bad taste to order something on DoorDash while there's a sheet of ice?
Yes. Terrible. No, you don't do that.
Don't do that.
No.
But
whoa, time out. Did you tip the same amount that the food cost?
So I ended up not ordering because I was kind of like, okay. But I'm also like, you know what? If people are out doing that job because they feel comfortable with that or whatever, and they're still just going to go ahead and make money, because there are plenty of people that think, hey, I have 4-wheel drive. I'm untouchable. I
Well,
can't
that
get in
you're
an accident.
untouchable. You're untouchable in snow, but you're
Right.
not untouchable in ice.
Exactly.
But yes, I
Exactly.
know what you're
So
saying. Yes,
there are
I
a
know what
lot
you're
of,
saying.
but there are a lot of delusional people that think no matter what, and I'm such a great driver, I'm not going to have any issues or whatever. It's everybody else's problem. Everybody else stinks. A lot of people have that mindset. So people are still out. And also, unfortunately, there are people that are only doing DoorDash for their job and need the money desperately to pay their bills. So they're like, I'm going to take the chance because I have to.
Yeah.
So if people are out doing that, I'm kind of like, I mean, I don't feel good about asking somebody to do that. But if you are out doing that, there are people doing it. I mean,
I
is it
feel like it
is it
becomes a
that
tip
bad?
thing. I feel like it
Okay.
becomes a tip thing then, right? I feel like I feel like you have to tip accordingly, right? This ain't just a regular DoorDash day where you give a dude, a buck or two or whatever you give. I don't know how much you give for
See,
DoorDash.
I'm
I
a
don't do
pretty
it. I don't
strong
dash
tipper
that much.
normally. I
Yeah,
mean,
but
I might be
yeah,
doing
but
30% almost every time. Is that, do
yeah,
I
but
go
on a
40
ten
or
dollar
50?
meal, on a $10 meal, you get $10 worth of food coming to your house, and you give a guy $3.
So a $10 meal on DoorDash is $30 because there are so
Well, I'm
many
saying no.
fees
All
plus
right. Well,
the
I'm
tip.
saying all right. So plus the tip, right? But here's the deal, man. That's that. My thing is, I would almost have to give a guy a minimum of $10 just for running that, just for doing that for me in this. You know what I mean? Normally on a normal day, it's like, all right, I could have went and got it, but it's a convenience thing, blah, blah, blah. Today, kind of the thing, I'm like, man, this weather out here, this dude is where this is basically overtime for him. I mean, it's a minimum $10 tip. Of course, that's why I didn't order any DoorDash today either. So
I'm ordering off the dollar menu then from McDonald's. I'm getting one thing and I'm giving him $11
well, you're gonna get hosed because
plus
you
plus
order off
eight
the dollar
dollars for a
menu on
delivery fee.
DoorDash. The dollar menu on DoorDash is the $4 menu. So
Yeah. Okay. Wanted to
cheeseburger and
get your
fries.
opinion on that. So don't do it. All right, got it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's go to our next thing, which is the Mount Rushmore. Our Mount Rushmore this week was cartoons for adults. I think I
Let's
said
do it.
adult cartoons, but I feel weird saying that because that might mean something else.
Whatever. Yeah, we're not trying to get into any kind of,
Yeah.
sexual Japanese
No.
things or anything like that. We're just trying to get into some, a little cartoons
Not
with
made
a
for children.
serious cartoons with a serious content. How about that?
No, not serious. These are comedies, but
I know. Okay, but you're right.
just for
Adult.
not for children.
You're right.
Just not
You're
for
right. Not for
children.
children. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're right. That's what it is.
All right. So we were a little bit worried when I said this. I think we were both started worrying a little bit right away. Like, how many are there? I mean, am I going to be able to even pick four? But
Bro, there's a lot.
yeah,
There's a lot.
there are a lot. The only problem was, as I started looking through this, I'm like, oh, yeah, there are a million. But how many have I actually seen and seen enough more than once? I mean, I feel like if I've seen
Yep.
one episode of something, that's not enough for me to say I've watched it really. But also there are some that are like, enough because it's popular culture that you may have never seen an episode of South Park, but you probably know something about South Park because it's been around for 25 years and it's, most people know something about it. But there are so many that were around for 2 or 3 years that you're like, I remember that. I either saw it once or I saw it a few times or I watched it or I never watched it. But there are a lot of those. So, Chris, I will let you go first on this if you would like to.
Let me go first. All right.
Yes.
So I'm going to start this off with a couple questions that I have.
Yeah.
When I was little, Nickelodeon had a show that I loved, and it was Ren and Stimpy. Is that considered this? Because I was a kid and I watched it, but it was like going back and watching an episode the other night. I was like, it's not necessarily a child's cartoon. Does something like that count?
I am saying specifically that one counts because I wrote that one down too. I had the same thought. I was like, Ren and Stimpy is technically a show for kids, but it was different. It wasn't really a show for kids. I mean, they got a little bit nasty on that sometimes, or it was just like,
They got super nasty on it,
yeah.
and it's a lot of innuendo.
And by the way, I loved Ren and Stimpy. Super funny.
Loved it. So then my
So,
next
yes.
question, my next one for you is, what about King of the Hill?
Yeah, definitely. That's definitely
So King of the Hill would
qualifies.
be considered.
Yeah.
All right. So that makes this difficult. All right. So if those two count, then those are two that I really, really liked, but I didn't have them on. How many presidents are on the Mount
4.
Rushmore? I always forget.
4.
4. Okay. So I am 100% going with Daria.
Okay.
Shout out to my little sister, my what I call my little sister, my little sister from another mother, our cousin Samantha Hodges, who might be she was Daria one time for Halloween. She's just the perfect Daria. And Daria, I used to watch that on MTV all the time.
Yeah.
That's number one. Oh man, it gets really difficult. So Family Guy is hilarious. Family Guy has to be on there. I got Family Guy number 2. So I can only pick 2 more, right?
That's right.
So I went through a little period of time where I got into the old Space Ghost Coast to Coast.
Mm-hmm.
I did a little bit of that there on the old Comedy Central for a while. I'm going to take that out. Boondocks was a good one. I didn't watch a ton of it, but I loved the comic strip. And I remember when it first came out, I feel like 15 years, I don't know how long ago, when the cartoon came out. That's one of my all-time favorite comic strips. And I remember the cartoon being even more serious than the comic strip in the paper, right? And it was different. Man, King of the Hill, Ren and Stimpy, American Dad. American Dad was real. I loved American Dad. When American Dad came out, it was when Family Guy was like 5 or 6 years into Family Guy's run, and it came on right after Family Guy for a while. That little alien thing that was hilarious. I loved American Dad. So difficult. And then obviously you've got Family Guy, or I already said Family Guy. You got South Park. I mean, can I tell you something, that I was never the biggest South Park guy? It was not something that did anything for me. Not a South Park guy.
Fair enough.
But everybody loves South Park, right? That's one of those. The Simpsons. I was never a Simpsons guy. Like, yeah, I watched The Simpsons, and The Simpsons were funny, but I'm not one of these dudes that like watched every episode of The Simpsons and quote Simpsons stuff and stuff like that. So it's hard for me. So I have one more question for you. One more thing I wrote down. Does the ambiguously gay duo count?
I wouldn't count that because it's basically a sketch on a sketch show. But that's a great. I didn't even think about that one, and those were
I got them written.
Really funny.
Those were hilarious. The penis car that they drove in. So great.
Oh, I
don't know if you can do that right. I don't know if you can do that sketch anymore because it's too controversial or whatever. Saturday Night Live get away with it. Saturday Night Live get away with it.
I don't even know about now. I mean, they fired a guy for saying something about transgender people, and then they got in trouble for not signing back the gay guy that's on it now, Bowen Yang. I think they were not
the Chinese guy.
Yeah, they were not bringing him back, and then everybody was up in arms because he's gay, and they were firing a gay guy, and I think they brought him back.
I hate
something
that.
like
You
that.
know how many people get fired on Saturday Night Live?
It was.
Here we go again.
Yeah, but it's the
millions
Rooney
of people.
It's the Rooney Rule. They have to keep it.
That's the truth.
I know.
Listen,
I know.
It's the Rooney. I want to get into this so bad next week. The Rooney Rule was a fantastic idea 20 years ago. It was a fantastic idea. it doesn't. It's like anything else. Over time, people are going to work around something like that, and that's just how it is, man. And we've got to figure out. I'm totally in. We got to fix it, right? We got to figure out a way to fix it. Eric Bieniemy should be a head coach. The fact Eric Bieniemy is not a head coach somewhere blows my mind. The fact that Brian Flores was even fired from the job that he had blows my mind.
Did a great
I'm
job.
not saying I'm going to sit here right now and I'm not going to tell you 100. I'm not telling you that these NFL owners are racist. I'm not going to say that. But is there a race? Is there some race that comes into effect in it? I think definitely. But I'm not telling you that these guys are out here going, I'll never hire a black coach because I don't like black people. That's not happening. I'm just telling you right now, these people don't feel that way.
No.
It's that old country club thing, man. You know what I mean? It's what you're comfortable with. Keyshawn Johnson said it best. Keyshawn Johnson said, I'd be a terrible GM because I'm going to hire somebody that I feel comfortable with. And I'm a black man. I feel comfortable hiring a black man. But you know what? If there's a white guy that's a better coach, I made a bad decision. I would be a bad GM for that reason. So you need to hire the best person for the job. And you can't tell me that Eric Bieniemy is not one of the best people for a head coaching job somewhere.
Dude, a few years ago, that was the guy I wanted more than anybody before when they hired Zach Taylor.
Dude, Zach Taylor,
like,
we had this conversation with Andre. We all thought that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're right. But anyway,
we got off topic.
I was making the joke about Saturday Night Live, but ambiguously, duo, great pool. I didn't even think about that one. You know what? We can count it. If you want. If you want to throw it on there, let's do it. Is that your?
So I did Dario. I've only done Dario
and
Family Guy.
You're right.
Did you know Trailer Park Boys had an animated series?
Yeah. I haven't watched that
until I started doing research. Neither I didn't know. I think that would be great, honestly, because Trailer Park Boys is hilarious. I'm gonna go. I loved a lot. I actually liked a lot of these things. Like after looking back at this, I didn't think I was going to be very good at this. I mean, I watched King of the Hill. I watched Ren and Stimpy, American Dad, Space Ghost Coast to Coast for a short period of time. All right, so I don't think I've said anything about this yet, but I'm putting it on here. Number 3, Beavis and Butthead.
Mm-hmm.
And number 4, let's go. I've got a million of them written down. I'm gonna go. Oh, it's a toss up between American Dad and King of the Hill, and I'm gonna go American Dad.
Okay.
I loved American Dad. I really liked it. That was tough for me. That was really difficult for me to do right there.
That was tough.
I just pulled an Adam Schmidt.
Except you did it in half the time I would have done it. So yeah, American Dad, I didn't write it down on my list of my whole list period. Because it's hard for me. Number one, I love. I don't think there's a more genius mind than Seth MacFarlane's. I think he 100%. Is. I think he amazes me with his mind and his talent. And so American Dad, I had to watch because same creator, a lot of the same people.
And he does the dad's voice. He does the same thing, doesn't Seth MacFarlane? He does Peter Griffin, and he did American Dad, whatever the hell that guy's name.
Yeah. So it's hard not to like that one, but it's also hard not to compare it to Family Guy because it's so close to that. So, and compared to Family Guy, I don't think it's close. Family Guy might be the funniest show consistently of all time for me, animated or not animated. And so that's number 1 on my list. Easily number 1 on my list is Family Guy.
So I gotta say, I get where you're coming from, and it's making me second guess myself because I took the Cleveland show off because of the fact that it was basically just it really was. It's just a spinoff of Family Guy.
Yeah.
And I took it off. I feel like I made a mistake now. I should have went Ren and Stimpy.
You want to go
or
Ren and
King of the
Stimpy?
Hill. No, I like King of the Hill better than Ren and Stimpy because it was more recent. Nope. No, you know what? It is what it is. I already made my decision.
American Dad's
Continue.
funny. American Dad is
It
funny. There's no
is.
doubt about it. It's just hard for me to not compare it so much to Family Guy. And Family Guy is like I hold that in the very highest regard. So okay, good. So you're sticking there.
I'm sticking.
So I'm going Family Guy. I'm going the one that I've seen the next most episodes of, which is The Simpsons. The Simpsons is I haven't watched new episodes in a long time, in years. But and even I don't even really watch reruns that much anymore. But for a long time I did. And it was and there this show came on. It's so hard to believe in 1989. 89 was when Simpsons came on. I mean,
And
we're
if you
talking
watch
like
from that first couple seasons, dude, it's
so weird.
so different.
It's weird. A lot of shows were like that. Family Guy was like the first season. Family Guy had Mila Kunis was not Meg. Somebody else was
Right.
doing her
Right.
voice. It was
Yep.
like everybody's voice was a little bit different, and like even the animation was a little bit different. It wasn't quite as advanced.
Brian was still Brian though. I feel like
Yeah,
that
Seth
voice has
Seth
never
MacFarlane
changed.
has
Yeah.
been Brian the whole time. Yeah.
Oh, he does Brian. He does Brian too.
Yeah. He does like 8 characters on that show or something.
Yeah,
There
I
are
know that's how
there
it
are a
was with
few.
American Dad. Yeah.
Yeah, there are a few that I forget that he does because they don't sound that much like him, but he does,
Right.
And then when you find out, you go back and hear it, and you're like, oh, okay, I can kind of see that. But anyway, and what amazes me so much is especially because there's a lot of Stewie and Brian scenes where it's just the two of them, and the scenes where and I know you can cut it up in in post and make it sound a lot. I'm sure he's not in the booth going back and forth really super fast between the voices, but it's still really impressive to me that he does both voices in that thing. And there might be a little bit of that. He might do some he might try to get like as much of it as he can, unless it's like a really hard scene to do like back and forth or where they're talking at the same time, of course, or something like that. But anyway, that's always amazed me. But Family Guy, I'm going Simpsons. I'm going South Park. I haven't watched as much South Park as I did the other ones, but for a while, and by the way, South Park started even before Family Guy did. South Park started in 97. Still going. Those two guys are so funny that when Basketball came out, they made the movie Basketball.
I was just gonna say the creators of Basketball. That was good.
I had even more respect for them and for South Park after that movie came out because they're so funny. But so I'm sticking South Park on there. They've had some really fun, and I trailed off a long time ago on those. I have not watched them, but I watched enough of them that I was like, this is a really funny show pretty much every week. Those are my first three. My fourth I struggled with a little bit, but I am in agreement with you on this one. And it's not even the funniest one, but it was so like meaningful for a while. Like I loved it so much. Beavis and Butthead. I gotta stick them on there. I gotta stick Beavis and Butthead on there. I had King of the Hill written down. I had Ren and Stimpy written down. I had two newer ones that I recommend to anybody. Big Mouth. It's on Netflix. Nick Kroll is like the creator and voice of a bunch of the characters on there. It's a little bit out there. They have like all these crazy characters like monsters and stuff, but
aren't all of these a little bit out there?
Yeah, they are all a little out there. But like Family Guy is about people, like this thing, there's like a libido that's a monster that is animated, like, or something. Like it's all about kids, like teenagers going through puberty. And it's really like, it's very sexual and raunchy and that kind of thing. And there's like, I don't know, there's like a monster that represents this kid's libido or whatever you want to call it. And
is libido. So there's a libido. There is I mean, that is basically I can't remember what they call feeling. It. That's a
sex drive.
Yeah.
So I forget, but they use another word for it. I can't think of it. But anyway, it's there. But there's like characters for all the kids like that, and they're like monsters that only they can see or something like that. Anyway, I've tried to start watching it a bunch of times and just haven't gotten into it yet much. But I love the super really good cast. Nick Kroll is the creator, and John Mulaney is the voice of like his best friend on there.
Of course, if Nick Kroll's in it, then John Mulaney's
John
in
Mulaney, because they're best friends in real life. So anyway, Big Mouth, and one that I that I found a while ago, and I think it's only been one season. I watched the whole season almost in one night because it was so funny, and I went back and started the last 2 nights. I watched the first 4 episodes again, like I'm rewatching the season. It's called Hoops. It's also on Netflix. It's called Hoops.
Hoops.
It's really funny. It's about a high school I don't even know. Are they? Yeah, they're in high school. It's a high school basketball coach, and he is just the crappiest guy in the world. He's a horrible guy. Everything that comes out of his mouth is terrible. I mean, just 15,000 f bombs every episode. It's like is despicable a guy as you can get, and it's really funny because of that. I'm telling you, especially because it's not that many episodes yet. If you get a chance, if you're on the road or something next week or in the next few weeks, and you get a chance, you got to check out Hoops on Netflix. I think you would really like it because it's just super, super funny.
Okay. All right. So I typed in Hoops into Netflix. There's a lot of these kind of adult cartoons on Netflix, just so you know. Big Mouth, you said that. There's Big Mouth. Chicago Party Aunt.
Yep.
Which
I think I watched one episode.
Like your aunt, and that girl looks a little crazy. The Inside Job. F is for Family. Paradise
I almost
PD,
put that one
which
on.
is just Paradise PD, which is just a woman showing her bra and panties off.
I've watched that too. That's really
Jack Horseman. There's a horse that's a person. Dude, there's a lot of crazy stuff on here. Adventure Beast. Wow. Okay. Yeah. All right. Let's I guess there's a lot of these out there.
There is.
I'm watching Hoops though. I'm putting Hoops on the old catch-all.
I hope you like
My list. That's what it's called.
It's very funny, very irreverent, but very funny. So that's my 4. South Park, Beavis and Butthead.
I'm not a reverend.
Family Guy. And I have F is for Family is really funny too. Bill Burr, that's Bill Burr's show. He plays the main character,
really?
The dad. Yeah. That one's really funny. BoJack Horseman, I've heard really good things about. I've just never watched it. It's Will. He was on. He's been in a bunch of stuff. He was with Jason Bateman on Arrested Development. He does a podcast with him that I listen to every single week, and for some reason, I keep thinking Will Forte. It's not Will Forte. It's Will.
Dude, I got a question for you. I don't know who this guy is that you're talking about, but every time we talk about something or someone, you always say, he does a podcast I listen to every single week. How many podcasts do you listen to?
Chris, they take up my whole day, pretty much every day. There's probably 12 podcasts I listen to, or 15 or something like that. I mean, I listen to a lot, and between just audio ones on iTunes and YouTube podcasts, I mean, I listen to so many. It's really, it's almost exhausting sometimes. Like I'm like, I kind of worry about like, oh my God, how am I going to get all these in? I'm falling behind. How am I going to get all these in? And it's hard, but it's the reason that I love Joe Rogan's podcast, but I can't listen to his because he puts out 3 a week and they're all 3 hours long. I can't fit that in anywhere, you know? So if he has like one of my favorite comedians on or something, I'll listen to that one, but I can't. He has all kinds of really super interesting people on, psychologists and people that know about space, and you know, I like that stuff, but I can't listen to it. It's way too long.
Man, I'll tell you what, we've been doing this podcast for, I want to say, going on 4 years. I want to say that. Is that right? Is it 3? It's at least 3 years.
We're probably coming up on 4.
Probably coming up on 4.
Yeah. Probably in March, maybe something like that.
I mean, we're 2 years into this pandemic. And I feel like we have been doing it for at least a year and a half, 2 years before that.
Yeah.
Either way, my point is, I don't understand how people can sit down and just listen like to us talk for an hour and a half. I don't get it. So I couldn't even imagine. Listen, do I love doing this? 100%. It's we make sure that we can do this every week. We have busy schedules, and we right now, right? There's a sheet of ice out on my driveway,
Yep.
out on my street. But we make sure we get this done, right?
And it's midnight.
Why? For the fans, a little bit for the fans, but mostly for us.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. We can't disappoint our fans. Yeah.
Exactly. But the point is 15 of these things, I haven't even listened to all of our podcasts, much less, and I know you haven't either. So
I'll tell you what,
we do our podcast. We don't have to listen to it.
I listened to every one of them until probably 6 months ago. And then I stopped. Like I'll listen to part of it usually.
Yeah.
But yeah, since we actually do it.
The last 2 minutes, so you can hear what our Mount Rushmore, remember what our Mount Rushmore and what our comedy segment is.
I write that down every week, but yeah, I actually, a lot of times it's the first couple minutes, because like I'll pull it up to make sure the file loaded right or whatever before I load it up. So I'll listen to it then. Or if I'm trying to think of like or if like I'm trying to remember everything we talked about for the description or whatever, I'll be like, there was something I'm missing here, and I go back and listen for a little bit.
So I'm gonna tell you this.
Something really funny happened, I go back and listen to that.
So it is February of 2022. I'm like we said, I feel like it was 2018, 17, somewhere in there, 19, when we started this thing. Mm-hmm. I'm going back. I'm ready to start pushing like crazy. I'm ready to let's get this thing back up and moving again. We got to a point there where we were, we were doing all right. I'm ready to start pushing this. I'm going to get on the old FaceTube every week, repost on FaceTube. I'm going to repost on the old tweet box. I'm going to get things moving again. We're going to get more. I want to do more interviews. I feel like we do good when we get our Andre Edwards on, and our Adam Bounds, and our who's the other guy? It's always Bobby Nightingale, new father. I want to get him on here just to talk about being a dad, right?
Yep.
So I don't know, man. I'm ready to make this thing. I want 2022 to be the best youth podcast ever.
Yep, I'm with you. I'm all in.
I got a guy who does, I just talked to you yesterday. He would like us to do a little plug for him. And in return, what he does is he makes uniforms and hats and stuff like that for teams. And he might hit us up with a little bit of swag with our stuff on it. So excellent. We'll see. There could be more coming. Yeah. I'm pretty sure we still owe from like 3 years ago. People from the NCAA tournament, we still owe some t-shirts too, so we'll get that figured out.
We'll get those out to you. Just keep waiting. No, just kidding. Hey, I got my shirt. I don't care about the rest of you. I'm kidding. I'm joking again.
Is what it is.
Yeah.
All right.
Look, we still have one more thing to do.
Oh, we do. Our comedy. Shoot. This has been a long one, bud. I apologize.
No. It really hasn't been that much longer than it. As a matter of fact, was it last week that we had like the longest one we've had in a while? We were like close to 2 hours, I think. Or was that the week before?
Was it really? Oh man, we've been doing a pretty good job of trying to keep this thing to an hour and a half. But yeah, it is what it is, man. When we have a good podcast for us is like a 2-hour Joe Rogan 4-hour kind of podcast.
I would, dude. Once we once the kids are grown up and that kind of thing, and we can go any time of the day. We can start at 6. We can start at 5 o'clock in the evening and go until 11 at night.
We're gonna have to start doing what at that point in time. We're gonna have to start doing what the radio does and split it into hours, right? So you can listen to the first hour, second hour, third hour, fourth hour, and listen to them in succession.
We'll do ads every hour like they do on the radio.
Absolutely ready to go. I love it.
Yeah.
All right. We've got a comedy segment to do.
We got to talk about Russell Howard. His special on Netflix is called Lubricant. And I go ahead. What do you think about Russell Howard?
All right. So Uncle Russ started out pretty good, right? He hasn't had a comedy special since 2017, and he starts it off. The very first thing is so funny. He said, "Corona was a beer," and I don't even know the dag. Man, I think of myself as a celebrity kind of a guy, right? I watch the rundown all the time, but I can't remember what the prince's name is that he was talking about. What's his name?
Oh, Harry.
Prince Harry. Prince Harry was still a prince or something like that. He wasn't kicked out of the family with his Meghan Markle deal. Anyway, that was good. It was a lot of pandemic kind of jokes in there. And this whole thing was taped in, I mean, I guess he's in London or England or British DC somehow, British Columbia of some sort, right?
He was in London. Yeah.
So there's some Boris Johnson, is that his name? Boris something.
UK Prime
There's some
Minister.
jokes there. Yeah, the UK Prime, like some stuff like that I didn't quite get. I had to turn the subtitles on at one point in time and rewind because I don't know what he's saying. So I have to like go back and then I read the subtitles and I'm like, I still don't know what he's saying, but I'm sure that's how everybody, every culture has, their slang that's out there. I mean, when he talked about, that was the other thing he said, people weren't singing about WAP, stuff like that. So that was pretty funny. This was, and he brought stuff back. Well, this was, for me, it was funny. His timing is good. When you just break down the comedy side of it, I thought he did a pretty good job. He's pretty much to the book, right? Starts a joke, middle joke, end a joke. He brings things back every now and then. He did a good job. But it wasn't, I never found myself dying laugh. I didn't find myself cracking up laughing. But at the same time, I was doing a lot of smiling and a little hee-haw kind of a thing. So I couldn't get it up into that 4 range. I kept it I got it at 3.6.
3.6. That's pretty good.
I mean, when I do, what is half for me, right? 5 is 5 stars. I say 1, so 3 is half, right?
3 is half.
It's above average. I would say it's above average. I would suggest watching it. I don't think that it's not a 4 by any means, but it's not average. It's still above average. It's in that 3 to 4 range, and that's 3.6 is what I came with. You're making me feel like I should have went lower, but I'm not going to let you do that. So sticking with my number.
Stick with your number. You should. I'm glad you said what you said because I was worried that I either was my brain was working a little slow or I'm like too Americanized or something. I can't handle accents or something like that, or I just wasn't paying close enough attention. I'm so glad you said that because I had the same exact thing. I'm like, there are definitely we speak the same language technically, but
right.
In England, they speak a way different version of English, probably the original one.
It's slang, man. It comes to the slang. It's when the slang comes out, man. That's what gets you, right? Like
he said enough things that I was like, what did I just not, is it just the accent I'm not understanding? But I realized I think it's part of that, but it's a lot of, he said some words. I'm like, I'm not familiar with that word. I'm not familiar with what he's talking about, whatever that reference is. So I did have trouble
start using context clues.
Yeah.
Start using context clues.
I was trying my best.
I did, which makes it harder to laugh at because you're thinking too hard.
Yeah. And
sorry, I keep interrupting you on Zoom, and I know that probably sounds terrible on the
audio. Nope, you're not. You're fine. I was doing the same, I felt the same way. It was okay. It was fine. The stuff that he did a long thing at the end. I feel like that it was like he was talking about his family, and then he was just doing like these different voices, and he was getting a little loud and doing animal noises and stuff. And maybe I was just checked out by then or something, but I was not into all that stuff. I just wasn't into it. Look, the guy's been in comedy 20 years. This is at least his second special. So apparently he's got a pretty big following, at least over there. And he made it to Netflix. I mean, he's on Netflix. It was like, they promoted the heck out of it when it first came out for a couple weeks. I guess career-wise, he's probably doing okay for himself. Good. I'm glad for him. I didn't love the special. It wasn't terrible, but I didn't love it. I didn't laugh hard at any point or anything. I kind of chuckled once or twice, maybe. But because of that, I gave it a 2.6. 2.6. Which
and you go
is
from a 0, which is just a little bit above half.
About half, about average. Yep. So we're really kind of close as far as our scales go. Or like in relation to
considering we grade these on opposite scale, on different scales from each other, which makes perfect sense, right?
Yeah.
If we're going to grade these on Haas, right? How many Haas do you give it? And you go from a 0, I go from a 1. Yeah, it is what it is, right? It's the same grading system. It's the same podcast, but we'll just be a little bit different.
Also, a 2.6. What's the difference between a 2.6 and a 2.5? I mean, is there a difference really? Why don't I just go around 2.5?
Listen, hey, here's the deal. That's so do you ever watch anything with Barstool Sports with Dave Portnoy and his One Bite, Everybody Knows the Rules, the pizza ratings?
Yep.
So I'm not gonna lie to you. Barstool, I was into Barstool a while back. I still watch a lot of stuff on Snapchat, but my big thing now is just the pizza reviews. That's my whole thing, is pizza reviews. We went to a pizza place when we went to Chicago a couple weeks ago with my dad, specifically based off of a pizza review he had. Right. So
wait,
I love those.
Was it Giordano's?
It was Giordano's. Did I tell you that about that? Did we talk about that?
No, but I've been to Giordano's in Chicago. I liked it. Did you like it?
Yeah, it was okay. We went the wrong route with it. We did deep dish, but we did it was a late lunch, so they pre-make all their deep dish lunch individual pizzas.
Oh,
because it takes like 25-40 minutes to make it. So we did one that was already sitting there. It didn't have the big stretch of cheese. It just wasn't fresh, right? It was a mistake on our part. Besides the point, he always says, like, you don't give a round number and you don't give a half, right? There's no 7s or 7.5. It's a 7.2 or a 7.8 or a 7.6. Like, it's just how it works, man. It's just how you got to do it.
Yeah, and there really is. Like, I think, like, okay, it's like a 2.5, 2.6, 2.7, something like that. Because there is, like, sometimes 2.5 doesn't feel quite enough, but you're like, well, It's not a 3 for sure. And yeah, there is a reason we land on those odd numbers.
Yeah, you got to mix it in there.
Yeah. All right. So all we got to do left is to pick our Mount Rushmore and our comedy special for next week. You've got the Mount Rushmore. I've got the comedy special. We can do it in any order you want. I can go comedy special if you want.
I'm gonna let you start talking about what you for a comedy special, because I'm gonna run into this side door over here. I'm spinning in my chair like a crazy man because I got to use the restroom.
Go for it. All right, we have a lot of options here, a lot of new stuff. For a long time we were like struggling to find a comedy special every week. We would both kind of be like, man, I don't know what I'm doing. And we're like rifling through Netflix and Amazon Prime every week trying to find something, because we went older specials for a while, and there are so many new ones out, and new ones that not just like, Russell Howard or guys that I don't know. There are a lot of guys with specials out now that we know that are really good historically. Jim Gaffigan has one out. We've talked about that the last couple of weeks. I know Chris is waiting for me to pick Jim Gaffigan, and not looking forward to it. So I keep holding off. Just because I want to make him sweat every week and see if I'm going to pick that one. I'm not, again, this week. I'm not going to pick that one. I am going to go. There is a podcast there are a bunch of them on YouTube as well, new ones. I'm going to go the Are You Garbage Guys. So this is a podcast two comedians do this podcast called Are You Garbage? I didn't know who they were, but their podcast is huge. It's a huge following. And they have comedians on every week, and they talk about their upbringing, and they ask them questions and figure out whether they're garbage people or like trashy people or whatever. They grew up, you grew up with, there were ashtrays all over your house, or there were, you used garbage can lids as sleds or whatever. I mean, they talk about all the different things that, it's in a funny way that make you garbage.
Okay.
So H. Foley and I'm trying to think of the other guy's name. Two guys that are both really funny, because now I've heard them enough times. Theirs is not one of the podcasts that I listen to every week, but I've seen a couple episodes when they've had guys that I really like on there. So, but they put out a comedy special together. So just recently, it's on YouTube. I think it's called Are You Garbage?
Is it like a bumping mics kind of thing, or?
I don't know. I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure if it's like that, or if it's like, the Sklar brothers or something, where they actually have a where they go off of each other, but it's an actual act.
It's an actual act that's predetermined.
Yeah. I have a feeling it's more like a bumping mics thing. I feel like it's probably because that's basically how they do their podcast. That's what bumping mics kind of was. It was like a podcast. It was Jeff Ross and David Tell just up there riffing,
Two guys sitting on stage just talking about people in the audience.
Yeah.
As they came up. I'm sure a lot of it is pre-discussed jokes. Sure. Look for a guy that looks like this, and we do this. But anyway.
Yeah. So it's called Are You Garbage? It's on YouTube. I think we're gonna check that one out. I'm excited about that. They seem like funny guys.
I like it. All right, Are You Garbage on YouTube? So that means that I get to do the Mount Rushmore. And you know what? I think in honor of Brian Flores, we should do the Mount Rushmore of white NFL head coach.
No. That's the first rejected Mount Rushmore of the podcast history.
Now, I want to ask Andre next week. I want to ask him next week when he comes on, because he's done the last couple with us.
Yeah.
I want to know, if we did the Mount Rushmore of white NFL head coaches, if he would have thought that was funny or offensive, or how he feels about that. Because I feel like he would have got a kick out of that and would have came back and done a little something with it. I feel like we could have done something. I feel like we could get a not Don Shula, but his son, whatever the
Dave Shula.
Dave Shula in on that kind of a thing. You know what I mean? I feel like we could come up with something kind of funny for that.
So the Mount Rushmore of the worst white head coaches. Is that what it is?
That's what it would turn into. Okay, so we're obviously not going to do that. And we could do a Mount Rushmore of black NFL head coaches, because there's so few anymore. But boom. You're welcome, Brian. I'll be part of your. I'll be there for your class action lawsuit if you need me in court. I'd be happy to help. Let's go with Mount Rushmore of. I want to do something different, right? I want to do something off the wall this week. I want something that our buddy, because Andre is coming on next week, and we got to have Andre ready to go. And I'm willing to find a day next week that I can go early, because we'll probably do it over Zoom. Maybe we don't get back together again. Maybe I do it when I'm out of town. And if he's able to do it that night and we do it a little earlier, we can get him on Zoom earlier. Then again, he's got kids, so it may be easier for him to do it later too. I don't know how that works for him. We'll talk to him and figure it out. But I want to do something fun. What can be fun? What is we've done so many Mount Rushmores to this point in time.
We're running out, but like really the possibilities are endless. It's just we got to think of something Good.
See, I feel like
I'm the least creative person in the world, so it's hard for me to.
I feel like me and Andre could do like a Mount Rushmore of cigars, but I feel like you couldn't do that, right? Like, obviously, that wouldn't work.
I just
We could
had
do.
it. I just had a thought.
Did you just have a cigar?
No, I just had a thought. I just had an idea for a Mount Rushmore.
Tell me, what is it? Tell me, what is it?
SNL characters.
Oh, you know what? You know what? I was just thinking the same thing. I was like, you know what we should do? I was like, oh my gosh. As soon as you said that, I was like, you know, it'd be funny, that ambiguously gay duo, the gay guy just got kicked off SNL. I was like, oh, it was right there.
I just picked up, speaking of SNL, you mentioned it earlier in this, so maybe that's what triggered it in my mind. I just picked up a new podcast this week and started listening, subscribed to a new one that I plan on listening to every week. It is
Pete Davidson.
I listened to the first one today. No, I don't care for Pete Davidson. I shouldn't have said that.
I want Pete Davidson on the podcast. I'm getting him on this podcast.
Okay. I would love that. I would love that. I mean, he dates famous people. He dates two famous people. He dates Kim Kardashian now. He's not coming on this podcast. I'll tell you, he almost feels a little attainable before Kim. We'll call it BK. Pete Davidson BK. But fly on the wall is what this podcast is. It's Dana Carvey and David Spade that do a podcast together. And it's all about SNL.
Whoa.
And they had,
That's
by the
good.
way, yeah, I think they're only like 3 or 4 in, but this week was the first one. Tom Hanks was their guest. They had those two guys and Tom Hanks sat around for an hour and a half and talked about their experiences on Saturday Night Live, especially when they all did it. Like because Tom Hanks is like the third highest, like has hosted like the third most times or something like that.
John Goodman is John Goodman still number one?
It's either him or what's his name that just shot that person on set.
Oh yeah, Alec
Baldwin. Yeah.
So because I remember when John Goodman got the number and he was on there for however many times, and they did he had a king's crown on and they carried him on a chair, and it was like they joked around, made a big deal about it. Dude, that's a podcast I'd listen to. That is something you got me intrigued now. I would listen to that because those two are so what's the word? They're so good, and yet at the same time they seem so down to earth. Maybe not as much David Spade, but Dana Carvey. I feel like if I saw Dana Carvey at a bar, he'd just sit down next to me and would talk to me for 15 hours. Yeah. David Spade seems a little big time for me, especially for that Norm Macdonald thing. But watching him on that show that he did, but oh my God, that would be good. I'm gonna have to check into that.
I at least listened to the one I listened to today with Tom Hanks on it. That was so good. Tom Hanks impresses me more every single time I listen to that guy speak.
I don't know. Like so Tom Hanks was, when we did actors, Tom Hanks was on my Mount Rushmore of actors.
I think he was. Yeah, he was on both of ours.
Tom Hanks
he's my favorite actor of all time.
He does it all, right? Yeah. Comedy, romance, rom-com, you name the type of movie, he's done it. Outside of horror, right? Maybe he has. He might have even done one. But his movies are fantastic and underrated. A lot of them are underrated, if that's possible. In fact, who were we just talking to about Tom Hanks and the movie, the Illuminati and all that stuff is involved in it? You have no idea, do you? No.
We were talking to somebody about that.
I feel like we were. Maybe it was Andre Edwards. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Either way.
Yeah, Andre. Yeah, because Andre did that Mount Rushmore with us.
Yeah,
Tom Hanks movies. Tom Hanks movies was last week or 2 weeks ago.
Tom Hanks movies. That's what it was. Yeah. All right. Good. So I'm not losing my mind. Look at me. Hey. No. Every time I say something and people give me that look you just gave me, where it's like a brief pause and a tongue click, one of those, I'm like, I'm I'm lost. I can't tell my dreams from my actual life.
If there's ever a time where I'm like, really, I don't remember that. It's not because of you. It's because my memory, I don't retain any information in my brain ever.
I had a buddy of mine today. I had a buddy of mine call me today. So real quick, before I get into this, the reason he called me is because my son's baseball team, if you listen to this, has 12 spots left, 12 squares left for their Super Bowl squares. $30 a square. There's 12 left. So if you're listening to this and you can get to me fast enough in the next couple days, I get you a square. 50-50 raffle, $350 a quarter, $450 for the end of the game. So here's the deal. Buddy calls me up and he's asking for my Venmo to pay me for a Super Bowl squares. And I said, "Oh yeah." I said, sounds like you're hanging out. He goes, "Yeah, we're having a snow day party at a friend's house, right?" Which he used to do whenever there was a snow day. When none of us had kids, he'd have it. And he's like, "Do you remember? Yeah, I had a snow day party and you took a wakeboard and went down my basement steps and ran into my my ankle. And I got a huge scar on my ankle now, but I saved you from running your face into a pool table." And I was like, "Bro, I don't remember that. I think you're thinking of somebody different."
Yeah.
I think you're thinking of somebody different. And he says to me, "I swear to God, there's zero chance it was anybody else. It was you." But that's my life. I forget more things in my life than have actually happened. People tell me things like that all the time. And I'm like, sure, that sounds like something I would do. Right. I mean, yeah, sounds like something I would do, but I don't remember it.
Yeah.
So bad. So bad.
Yeah.
What do we do? We need some ginkgo biloba. I think the Nosebleed Sports Podcast needs ginkgo biloba as a sponsor.
Yeah, Nature's Bounty, ginkgo biloba. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. There you go. All right, that sounds good. All right, so what did we decide was going to be the Mount? What did I say Mount Rushmore was going to be? Speaking of not knowing,
you want to do SNL characters?
That was right on the tip.
It was your idea.
It was right before you said it. I was about to spit it out.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned something about it before we started the podcast to me.
Exactly. So. All right, sounds good. SNL characters. Oh, by the way, this is not going to be easy.
Oh, there are so many. So many.
I've got one that is oh my God. I got two. Have we done this before?
No, we have not. I'm sure we have not done this before. My no, there you go again. Yeah, we might have, but I guarantee we haven't, but we might have. So there you go.
I love this.
I'm positive that we haven't, but we might have because I forgot.
We might have. Love it. All right. SNL characters. Are you garbage?
Yep.
On YouTube. You think the special's called Are You Garbage, correct?
Pretty sure it is. Yeah. Just type Are You Garbage in and you will see it. It will pop up right away.
All right. That sounds good to me, man. I'm pretty excited about this. And we got Andre Edwards next week. The Bengals are in the Super Bowl. Adam Schmidt. I still, when I say it, it doesn't feel, it still feels fake. It does not feel real. It does not feel real.
If you're listening to this and not watching it on YouTube, Chris is wearing the AFC Champions hat. Or no, is it the division? Is it
no? This is okay. I got the AFC Championship hat up top. This is the North Championship
AFC
hat.
North champs. Okay.
I do officially have the white AFC Championship hat. I didn't wear it tonight because I haven't worn it yet, and I ain't messing around with no juju. Old boy's been on the head for the last few weeks. I'm not. Oh, I don't know if I should say it on air. Am I going to jinx somebody? No. You know what? I'm not playing the game. I can't jinx something because I'm not playing the game.
That's right.
But I'm also going to tell you that I'm still so superstitious that I have not washed my Trey Amigos shirt since I got it before the Raiders game. and wore it every week. I've worn it every single week. I've only worn it at the game. I take it off. I hang it up. It's got a slight yellow on
Oh
the
God, it's a new shirt.
Slight. It's white, but I've worn it during these football games. I'm sweating. I sweat like an animal walking down my steps in the air conditioning. So during a Bengals game in the playoffs,
In the middle of winter,
doesn't matter. As we're winning, I'm sweating like a broke mule, man.
Good analogy. Good analogy, Jeff Brantley. Sweating like a hornet on the 3rd of December.
Sweating like a firecracker on the 4th of July.
All right. So we've got everything. Next week's going to be great. We got the Super Bowl preview with Andre Edwards, and we've got our comedy, and we've got our Mount Rushmore. It's going to be, and I've got some stuff written down for the next couple weeks, man. We are going to be, and we're going full speed. We're going to start getting more interviews on this thing. We're going to get some more people. I swear to you, in 2022, I am going to get at least one comedian on this podcast for us to talk to. I'm doing it. I guarantee.
I don't care if anybody knows who they are.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be better, but if not, who cares?
It might be a local guy or something, but somebody that's been in the comedy game to Pete Davidson. Yeah. Okay. Hey, let me know how that goes. Just let me know how he responds.
I feel like me and Pete could have a good time on a podcast.
Oh, I'm sure you would.
I'm not going to ask him all the crazy stuff. We already know all the BDE, all that BD energy and all that. I don't need to get into all that stuff.
No.
I just want to talk to Pete about what it's like to be Pete.
Yeah. Yep. Everybody knows how he got on SNL. Everybody knows his story and everything. Everybody knows about his dad and all that kind of stuff. We just talk about what's your day to day like? Are you getting up first thing you when you wake up, you pick up your phone and answer whatever last text Kim sent you? Or, I mean, is that how your day starts? Or do you go brush your teeth first? Do you get in the shower first? When you're doing that, you start with your right arm, you start with your hair. What do you go first in the shower? I mean,
that's one of my favorite things to do is to find out what people's shower routines are. You know what? I'm writing it down. Shower routines going out to Andre Edwards next week because my man's Baldwin. That almost got X-rated. I held myself.
Balder and a hornet on the 3rd of December. All right,
there you go. Exactly.
But he shaves his head. That's why.
Balder and a little piece of my hair.
Got the haircut, by the way. I like it. Looks nice.
Yeah, thank you. So, but we will. Yeah, I want to talk to shower routine. I like to know how it goes for a bald guy in a shower routine. Right? We all shampoo first, right? You gotta go top to bottom. In my opinion.
Okay.
Maybe we have a conversation.
You would think much easier for somebody without hair. You're soaping, just throw it on the head. But is in the shower when you shave the head, because then that adds time.
Oh yeah, that becomes a longer shower than what we do.
Sure,
because you can't miss a spot, man. You gotta go over it and then go over it. Or do you get one of those non fogging mirrors that they make? Mm-hmm. Right, you can get one of those. Is one of those in there? And then if you're a guy like Andre Edwards and you got a non-fogging mirror in your shower, do you just not get out because you're just staring at yourself all day?
Yeah, that's the only reason I don't have one in mine. I do not want to see myself in the shower. No, I actually bought one of those one time because I thought I might start shaving in the shower, right? So yeah, shaving my legs, my armpits, everything. So I was like, I'm afraid that the suction is not going to stay and it's going to fall and shatter in my shower. Now I have broken glass in my shower. And if I'm in the shower when it happens, then I'm all cut up. Right. I'm so worried about that. that I never put it up.
The non-fogging mirrors aren't even glass. They're like a form of plastic.
Are they? I thought they had to be, because that would happen all the time, I would think. But I wasn't positive, and I didn't want to take a chance. So I just shave in front of my sink.
Not surprising.
Yeah.
I don't shave anymore. I just use the trimmers.
Well,
Trim
yeah,
up, trim up the side. I haven't used a razor, and I couldn't tell you how long.
Oh, okay. So even for this part and this part,
I just bought a brand new one. Where am I at? Right here. Kind of
you just go no guard or whatever, or all the way down or whatever.
I go no guard underneath. I go no guard on the sides, no guard around the lip. Mm-hmm. I always keep my mustache shorter than the rest of it, though, because I start chewing up. Yeah.
So do I. Because because it looks weird. If you do use the same guard, it looks weird. And then I have spots like in here that are a lot thicker than the rest of it. And I kind of go over that a little bit with that stuff too.
Yeah. See, I go down to about here. Mm-hmm. And from here up, I go shorter because it's so thick right here. And it like turns into my mouth. And I feel like a walrus or something. I don't even know. It just looked like a goober. You
just did that today, didn't you?
No, it was Monday. I trimmed around my lip today. I trimmed around just the no guard on the lip right above my lip. Dude, I don't have an upper lip. I don't have one, right? I wasn't blessed with an upper lip. I don't own an upper lip. Okay. So I have to give a little extra above my what is, what I call my upper lip. I have to do a little extra there so you can see my regular skin and people think that's my lip. It's really not. This is all skin right here. My lip starts underneath on the downturn.
Just yet another disadvantage for men, by the way. Another disadvantage for men is we don't get to use the lipstick and draw on lips. You know what I mean? Girls that don't have the lips, that don't have upper lips, they can go a little higher with the lipstick, make it look like they have full lips.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. Exactly right.
We don't do that. Gosh, I'll tell you what, it's hard for a man. It
is. It's tough, man. It's tough. Yeah. The things we go through as a man throughout life,
the world's not fair to us, is what I think.
It's not fair. It's not fair. It's just too easy is the problem. All right. It's over. We're done. Let's get on to the next week. Are you garbage? We've got the Mount Rushmore of SNL characters. That is going to be so good. I can't wait to get Andre Edwards on here and talk about Brian Flores, talk about the Cincinnati Bengals I keep wanting to say the playoffs, in the Super Bowl. Super Bowl.
Chance to win a world title in the next game.
Literally one game to decide if they become world champions. One game. Anybody can win. Matt Stafford can throw up a goose egg as well as anybody can.
Patrick Mahomes threw for 55 yards in the second half. If they can hold him to that, same thing.
Make something happen here. All right, so that's what we got coming on next week. I don't know when it'll be. I'd like to try to do a day a little earlier, get it down here a little earlier, or get on the Zoom a little earlier if we need to. I'll be out of town probably Tuesday next week if we want to talk about that. Something to keep in mind. Until then, don't forget to turn your headlights on.